January 1, 1945. New Year's Day. While Allied forces celebrated recent victories, the Luftwaffe launched Operation Bodenplatte, their final desperate gamble. Over 900 German fighters roared toward Allied airfields across Belgium and Holland in a massive surprise attack. German commanders expected total chaos. They anticipated catching American aircraft on the ground, destroying hundreds before pilots could even reach their cockpits. Instead, something impossible happened. 40 minutes before the first German fighters arrived, American radar operators detected the massive formation. Ground controllers immediately began vectoring defending fighters into position with mathematical precision. When the Luftwaffe struck, American P-47 Thunderbolts and P-51 Mustangs were waiting, at exact altitudes, perfect intercept angles, as if they could see through the clouds themselves. The results were catastrophic for Germany. Official U.S. Army Air Forces records document 300 Luftwaffe aircraft destroyed, nearly one-third of their entire attacking force, while American fighters achieved kill ratios exceeding 3-to-1. Captured German after-action reports reveal stunned pilots describing impossible interceptions. One Luftwaffe squadron commander wrote that American defenders appeared to be waiting at predetermined positions, with foreknowledge of our approach routes and altitudes. This wasn't luck. This was technology German intelligence had completely dismissed. Throughout 1943, Luftwaffe assessments called American radar inferior to German Würzburg systems and lacking tactical coordination. Yet by mid-1944, American radar networks were achieving 76% intercept success rates, vectoring fighters from detection to visual contact in just 8 to 12 minutes. German radar-directed fighters needed 15 to 20 minutes for the same task. American SCR 584 radar sets tracked aircraft within 25-yard accuracy at 30-mile ranges, precision German officers believed impossible. But how did American forces develop radar networks so sophisticated that German officers, whose own Kammhuber line had dominated European skies for years, never saw it coming? To understand this technological triumph, we need to go back 3 years earlier, to when American scientists began a secret program that would change air warfare forever. To understand how completely German officers underestimated American radar capabilities, we need to examine just how dominant German technology actually was in 1943. German radar systems were genuinely impressive. The Würzburg radar provided accurate aircraft tracking at ranges exceeding 25 miles. The Freya early warning radar detected incoming bomber formations at distances beyond 75 miles. These weren't experimental prototypes. They were battle-proven systems integrated into the Kammhuber line, Germany's sophisticated night defense network that stretched across occupied Europe. The results spoke for themselves. Between 1942 and 1943, RAF Bomber Command lost over 2,600 aircraft, with German night fighters, guided by Würzburg radar, accounting for 75% of those kills. German radar-directed intercept success rates reached 62%. Their Himmelbett system, which divided airspace into defensive boxes monitored by radar, achieved average intercept times of just 12 to 15 minutes from initial detection to engagement. German confidence wasn't just pride, it was backed by superior training and doctrine. NACJAG night fighter units trained extensively in radar-directed interception techniques. Captured training manuals from Luftwaffe Fighter School 1 detail comprehensive radar intercept procedures while dismissively noting that Allied forces demonstrate no comparable systematic approach to radar-directed fighter operations. German intelligence assessments reflected this technical superiority. A Luftwaffe intelligence report from August 1943 explicitly stated, American radar equipment remains primarily naval in focus. Ground-based systems lack the precision and coordination of Reichsluftwaffe installations. No evidence of integrated fighter direction networks exists. Recent combat results reinforced German confidence. During Big Week in February 1944, German controllers using Freya radar coordinated massed fighter responses that destroyed 226 American bombers in just 1 week. The previous August, at Schweinfurt-Regensburg, German radar tracking enabled coordinated attacks resulting in 60 B-17 losses in a single mission, a devastating 14% loss rate that nearly forced suspension of daylight bombing operations. By January 1944, captured German strategic assessments concluded their radar-directed defense systems remained technically superior to any Allied counterpart, and would continue to inflict unsustainable losses on bomber operations. Luftwaffe command believed American forces simply couldn't match German radar integration and tactical coordination. They had no idea American scientists had already solved problems German engineers didn't even know existed. While German officers celebrated their proven superiority, classified American development programs were about to render every German advantage obsolete. While German radar networks dominated European skies, American forces faced a stark technological gap that threatened the entire strategic bombing campaign. In early 1943, American radar capabilities lagged dangerously behind. The SCR-270, the primary American early warning radar, could detect aircraft at ranges up to 120 miles, but that's where the good news ended. War Department technical reports documented critical flaws. Altitude determination was unreliable beyond 30 miles, and azimuth accuracy averaged plus or minus 2 degrees. For precise fighter vectoring, these limitations were crippling. The numbers told a grim story. As of March 1943, only 87 SER-584 gun-laying radars had reached the European theater, versus a required deployment of over 300 units. Production simply couldn't keep pace with operational needs. Even worse, the systems America did have weren't working effectively. Fighter pilot reports from 1943 described radar vectoring as confusing and unreliable. Most pilots preferred traditional visual patrol patterns over radar guidance. Official 8 Fighter Command reports noted a lack of standardized communication procedures between radar controllers and fighter squadrons, as late as December 1943. British allies weren't impressed. An RAF Air Ministry report from July 1943 bluntly concluded, American GCI techniques remain experimental. Current operational coordination falls significantly below fighter command standards established during the Battle of Britain. Combat results reflected these shortcomings. 8th Air Force missions beyond fighter escort range suffered 8 to 12% loss rates in late 1943, unsustainable casualties that threatened the entire bombing campaign. Pre-GCI deployment, vectored interception success rates averaged only 23%. American fighters found enemy aircraft less than 1/4 of the time when directed by early radar systems. Logistical challenges compounded technical problems. Only 1,200 qualified radar maintenance personnel were available for a projected need exceeding 4,500 by mid-1944. SER-584 systems required 15-person operating crews and sophisticated maintenance. Mobile radar units needed extensive support equipment, power generation, and communication networks that simply didn't exist in forward areas yet. Even American media reflected skepticism. A January 1944 Saturday Evening Post article described American radar as promising but unproven technology, still requiring extensive development before operational reliability. But while public assessments remained pessimistic, classified development programs at MIT's Radiation Laboratory were already solving problems German intelligence didn't even know existed. The breakthrough that would revolutionize air warfare began with an unlikely gift from British allies in 1940. A small device called the cavity magnetron. This revolutionary microwave-generating component arrived at MIT's Radiation Laboratory in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where American engineers immediately recognized its potential. By 1942, they had transformed this British invention into operational radar systems with capabilities that would leave German engineers astounded. The result was the SCR-584 automatic tracking radar, a quantum leap beyond anything Germany possessed. Official Signal Corps technical specifications documented capabilities that seemed almost science fiction. Tracking accuracy of 25 yards at 30-mile range, 5 times more precise than German Würzburg systems. Electronic servo systems maintained continuous lock on targets without manual operator adjustment. The 10-centimeter wavelength provided reliable performance through clouds, rain, and darkness that completely defeated visual tracking. Development moved at breakneck speed. December 1941, MIT Radiation Laboratory received the directive to develop precision tracking radar. March 1943, SER 584 completed field testing with over 90% tracking reliability. June 1943, first production units deployed to North Africa. November 1943, integration with fighter direction networks began in England. But superior hardware was only half the revolution. American forces developed an entirely new tactical doctrine: ground-controlled interception networks that integrated multiple technologies into a seamless system. The architecture was ingenious. Long-range SCA-270 radars provided detection beyond 100 miles. Height-finding radars determined altitude with unprecedented accuracy. SER 584 precision tracking units handed off targets to specialized fighter controllers who vectored American fighters using three-dimensional tactical displays, technology German forces wouldn't develop until war's end, if ever. Communication proved equally revolutionary. Signal Corps engineers developed VHF radio systems providing clear, jam-resistant communication between ground controllers and fighters. By early 1944, standardized vector altitude speed control procedures enabled controllers to guide fighters to within visual range with mathematical precision. Captured American planning documents reveal the methodical approach. A classified 8-fighter command directive from February 1944 specified radar deployment density of 1 GCI unit per 40-mile sector, mandatory 120-hour controller training, daily calibration requirements, and continuous performance monitoring. American industrial capacity made the difference. By mid-1944, American factories had produced over 1,500 SCR 584 units. American manufacturers churned out over 100 million vacuum tubes annually, enabling redundancy and rapid replacement impossible for German industry. By June 1944, over 15,000 trained radar operators and technicians had deployed to the European theater. General Karl Tui Spatz, commander of U.S. strategic air forces in Europe, later wrote that the integration of precision radar networks with fighter operations transformed air combat from an art based on chance encounter into a science of calculated interception. While German intelligence continued dismissing American radar as inferior, classified development programs had already achieved technical superiority that would render German systems obsolete. As these networks deployed across England in early 1944, intercepted German communications showed Luftwaffe intelligence remained completely unaware of the technological revolution about to devastate their air force. Throughout the first half of 1944, while German intelligence remained oblivious, American forces methodically constructed the most sophisticated air defense network the world had ever seen. Official Signal Corps deployment records document the buildup across England. By March 1944, 47 SER 584 radar sites operated in southern England. 23 microwave early warning stations provided long-range coverage. 12 specialized fighter control centers with three-dimensional plotting capabilities coordinated operations. Redundant VHF radio links connected every site into an integrated network. The expansion accelerated. By May, 89 tracking radar sites blanketed England. Coverage extended to provide overlapping detection across all bomber routes and 150 miles beyond the English coast into occupied Europe. The network could simultaneously track over 200 individual aircraft or formations. 40-plus GCI controllers could vector multiple fighter sections at once. Average response time, from detection to intercept, had dropped to just 8 to 12 minutes. Technical assessments from 8 Fighter Command documented readiness tests in May achieving 91% successful intercept rates. The system was ready. Meanwhile, captured German intelligence summaries reveal stunning ignorance. A Luftwaffe assessment from April 1944 explicitly stated, "No evidence of significant American radar deployment increase." Enemy early warning remains based on coastal stations with limited inland penetration. American operational security was meticulous. Radar sites operated under strict radio silence except during actual operations. Mobile SCR 584 units frequently relocated to prevent German direction finding. Dummy sites broadcast false radar emissions to confuse German intelligence. Radio communications never discussed radar capabilities directly. Weather conditions that spring would prove perfect for testing the new system. Meteorological records document frequent cloud cover, 6/10 to complete overcast 70% of the time. Visibility often dropped below 5 miles. These conditions made visual interception nearly impossible but posed no problem for microwave radar operating at 10 cm wavelength. Intercepted Luftwaffe communications from May 1944 show German fighter command planning defensive operations using traditional visual tactics. No German documents from this period demonstrate any awareness of American radar network capabilities. Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force strategic assessments emphasized what hung in the balance. Air superiority over invasion beaches depends absolutely on fighter dominance. Rapid response to enemy air threats essential. Radar-directed fighter operations may determine invasion success or failure. By June 1, 1944, the network reached full operational capacity, perfect timing for D-Day operations just days away. American forces had deployed technology exceeding anything worldwide. German intelligence continued dismissing American radar as tactically insignificant. The stage was set. Beginning June 6, combat operations logs would document exactly how catastrophically German officers had miscalculated American technological capabilities. The radar network's first combat test came at 0347 hours on June 6, 1944, D-Day morning. Coastal radar stations detected a Luftwaffe reconnaissance aircraft approaching the invasion fleet. Within 7 minutes, GCI controllers vectored 4 P-47 Thunderbolts to interception position. At 0354, exactly 7 minutes after initial detection, combat reports document the German aircraft destroyed 40 miles from the fleet, never even glimpsing the massive armada below. This was just the beginning. Between 0600 and 0800 hours, German fighter units from Jagerschwader 2 and 26 scrambled over 120 fighters to attack Allied forces. American radar tracked the formations from takeoff at French airfields. GCI controllers vectored 8 P-51 squadrons, 96 fighters, to perfect intercept positions. Contact occurred 25 to 40 miles from Allied positions, exactly where controllers predicted. Results: 34 German aircraft destroyed, 11 Allied losses. Fighter pilots' combat reports reveal the system's devastating effectiveness. Captain Don Gentile of the 4th Fighter Group wrote on June 12, "Ground control put us exactly where they said, 20,000 feet, Angels 15 miles north of target. Bandits appeared dead ahead within 30 seconds, exactly as briefed. Like shooting gallery." Lieutenant Robert Johnson, 56 Fighter Group, reported on June 18. Controller called out every turn, every altitude change. We were above and behind the German formation before they knew we were there. Never saw intercept this clean without visual contact first. Official statistical summaries document the transformation. Between June and August 1944, American radar vectored interceptions achieved 847 successful enemy contacts, a 76% success rate. Controllers achieved contact in 3 out of 4 vectoring attempts. Average time from detection to visual contact, 9.3 minutes. Kill ratio, 3.2 to 1 favoring radar-directed American fighters. Captured German pilots revealed the psychological devastation. Oberleutnant Hans Schmidt of JG-26, captured June 23, stated during interrogation, "Impossible to understand. American fighters waiting at exact altitude, exact location, every time. Felt like they could see us through clouds." Many pilots believed Americans had spies reporting our takeoffs, but response too fast. They knew our position before we reached altitude. Technical performance logs confirmed the system's reliability. 94% operational availability throughout summer 1944. Maintain target lock through clouds, rain, and electronic countermeasures. Consistent target acquisition at 30+ miles in all weather conditions. The ultimate demonstration came January 1, 1945, Operation Bodenplatte. Nearly 900 German fighters launched a coordinated dawn surprise attack against Allied airfields. German planning assumed complete tactical surprise. American radar detected the massive formations at 0741, 40 minutes before first attacks. Despite achieving tactical surprise at the airfields themselves, defending fighters intercepted throughout the operation. German losses: over 300 aircraft, 34% of the attacking force. Captured German after-action reports documented the catastrophe. Tactical surprise achieved at airfields. Air combat results catastrophic. American fighters positioned for interception despite dawn timing and weather conditions. Enemy detection capabilities far exceed previous assessments. German fighter pilots, accustomed to tactical flexibility and visual combat, found themselves consistently outmaneuvered by an invisible network that predicted their positions with mathematical precision. What appeared as impossible foresight was technological supremacy they never anticipated. By September 1944, captured German Air Ministry documents reveal a stunning reversal in Luftwaffe assessments. A secret intelligence report marked Geheim states bluntly, American radar-directed fighter operations have achieved capabilities that fundamentally alter air combat conditions. Enemy fighters demonstrate awareness of our formation's positions, altitudes, and headings before visual contact. Previous assessments of American radar limitations were comprehensively incorrect. Tactical advantage has shifted decisively to enemy forces. The numbers told a devastating story. Between July and September 1944, German fighter loss rates increased to 25 to 30% per major engagement. Unsustainable casualties that gutted experienced squadrons. Bomber interception success collapsed from 40% to under 15%. Mission abort rates jumped to 35% as pilots encountered radar-directed opposition. Pilot morale assessments rated critically low, due to what German reports described as perceived American omniscience. Interrogation reports document the psychological devastation. Hauptmann Joseph Priller, commander of JG-26, told interrogators in October, pilots reported feeling hunted rather than engaging in combat. American fighters appeared impossibly positioned, with frequency suggesting tactical intelligence we could not counter. Experienced pilots requested transfer to ground attack duties to avoid American fighter sweeps. Captured tactical directives show desperate German attempts to adapt. All failures. Low-altitude approach tactics? Radar still detected formations. Increased radio silence? Ineffective. Radar tracking didn't require radio intercepts. Formation dispersal? Counterproductive. Smaller formations became easier targets. Dawn and dusk operations? Negated by all-weather radar capabilities. The speed of German recognition was remarkable. A June 1944 assessment claimed, American fighters demonstrate improved coordination but remain vulnerable to experienced German fighter tactics. By October, Luftwaffe Command concluded, American radar-directed fighter operations have achieved air superiority through technological means that cannot be countered with available resources. Daylight fighter operations over Germany no longer sustainable. Official strength reports document the collapse. June 1944, 425 operational fighters in the Western Theater. December, only 190 aircraft despite production increases. Over 2,400 trained fighter pilots killed, missing, or captured in 6 months. 40% of advanced training casualties resulted from radar-directed Allied fighters intercepting training formations. Captured research reports show belated German attempts to develop equivalent capabilities. War Ministry assessments concluded grimly, required technical development timeline, 18 to 24 months. Required production resources, unavailable. Required trained personnel, insufficient. Tactical parity with American radar networks, unachievable under current conditions. Within 6 months, German air combat superiority collapsed into desperate defensive operations against technological capabilities their industry couldn't counter and their tactics couldn't defeat. The radar network's impact extended far beyond individual dogfights. It fundamentally transformed the entire strategic air campaign over Europe. Official U.S. Strategic Bombing Survey reports directly attribute bombing campaign success to radar-enabled fighter superiority. Precision radar-directed fighter escort reduced bomber loss rates from unsustainable 8 to 10% in late 1943 to acceptable 2 to 3% from mid-1944 onward. This reduction made sustained strategic bombing operations viable and enabled the progressive destruction of German industrial capacity. The statistics are stark. 8 Bomber Command mission reports document the transformation. June through December 1943 averaged 6.8% bomber losses per mission. June through December 1944, just 1.9%. Estimated 2,500 aircraft preserved due to improved fighter protection, representing thousands of saved aircrew lives and sustained bombing pressure that German industry couldn't withstand. Ground operations benefited immediately. On D-Day itself, the Luftwaffe managed only 319 sorties versus their planned 1,000+. Radar-directed fighter sweeps over French airfields kept German aircraft grounded. Throughout the Normandy campaign, German ground forces received virtually no air support. Meanwhile, Allied forces flew over 75,000 ground attack sorties between June and August with minimal Luftwaffe interference. General Dwight D. Eisenhower's final report to the combined chiefs of staff stated explicitly, the achievement of air superiority, made possible largely through radar-directed fighter operations, was the decisive factor enabling successful invasion and liberation of Western Europe. The psychological impact devastated German morale. A Wehrmacht intelligence report from September 1944 noted, ground forces increasingly question Luftwaffe capabilities. Absence of air support despite promises erodes confidence in military leadership. Troops exposed to continuous Allied air attack without protection. Air superiority enabled subsequent major operations. Operation Market Garden's massive airborne assault required complete air dominance. During the Battle of the Bulge, when weather cleared, radar-directed fighter bombers devastated German armored columns. Rhine crossing operations benefited from unprecedented air support impossible without total air superiority. The cascading industrial effects proved equally devastating. German fighter production was forced underground, reducing efficiency 35 to 40%. Aviation fuel production became targeted with impunity. By January 1945, Germany produced over 3,000 fighters monthly but possessed fuel for only 30% operational capacity. Post-war interrogations revealed the intelligence failure's magnitude. Dr. Wilhelm Runge, German radar development director, stated in May 1945, "We substantially underestimated American microwave radar capabilities. Our intelligence assessments were based on captured equipment from 1942 to 43. We had no awareness American forces had deployed operationally superior systems throughout 1944. What began as tactical advantage cascaded into strategic dominance that shaped the war's entire outcome in Western Europe. The significance of American radar-directed fighter operations extends far beyond World War II. It fundamentally transformed how air warfare is conducted to this day. Official Air Force historical studies identify the integration of precision radar with fighter direction as revolutionary. Pre-war concepts of fighter operations emphasized pilot initiative and visual contact. Post-1944 doctrine recognized centralized control and technological coordination as force multipliers exceeding tactical skill alone. Leading military historians have extensively analyzed this transformation. Dr. Richard Overy, professor of history at University of Exeter, writes in The Bombing War, American radar-directed fighter operations represented one of the war's most significant tactical technological integrations. The systematic coordination of detection, tracking, and interception created advantages that German forces never effectively countered. The direct lineage to modern systems is undeniable. Declassified Air Force development documents show the SAGE air defense system, deployed in 1958, was a direct descendant of World War II GCI networks. Modern air traffic control systems are civilian adaptations of military GCI coordination procedures. AWACS airborne warning and control systems extend ground-based radar direction to airborne platforms using the same fundamental principles proven in 1944. Cold War air defense relied entirely on lessons learned over Europe. Continental defense networks modeled on ETO GCI systems. The Soviet Union developed extensive radar networks based partially on captured German intelligence about American capabilities. NATO's integrated air defense employed principles proven in 1944 through 45 operations. The technological legacy extends beyond military applications. MIT Museum archives document how microwave radar technology spawned civilian weather radar, air traffic control, and marine navigation systems. Trained radar technicians became the foundation of America's post-war electronics industry. Technical developments accelerated transistor research and early computing. Contemporary military education incorporates these lessons systematically. Air Command and Staff College teaches. The effective integration of emerging technology with tactical doctrine remains a central lesson from World War II radar operations. Success required not just superior equipment but systematic training, standardized procedures, and command commitment to new operational concepts. Dr. Williamson Murray, Professor Emeritus at Ohio State University, places the achievement in broader context. American radar-directed fighter operations exemplified successful military innovation, identifying technological potential, systematic development, comprehensive training, and operational integration. Few World War II innovations demonstrated such complete transformation of tactical capabilities. The RAND Corporation's analysis, Technology and Warfare, identifies the radar network as a case study in technological advantage. German forces possessed individual technologies of comparable sophistication but failed to achieve systematic integration. The American approach, coordinated detection, communication, and interception, proved decisively superior to German incremental improvements of existing systems. Modern air warfare doctrine reflects this direct lineage. Contemporary fighter direction, AWACS systems, and network-centric warfare concepts trace their intellectual ancestry directly to 1944 innovations. Major military museums, the Smithsonian, National Museum of the United States Air Force, Imperial War Museum, feature permanent exhibits documenting this technological revolution's lasting significance. The lessons remain relevant. Technological superiority properly integrated with doctrine and training creates cascading strategic advantages that reshape warfare itself. The development and deployment of precision radar-directed fighter networks represents one of World War II's most significant technological achievements. A complete technological surprise that German intelligence never anticipated and German forces never effectively countered. Military educational institutions emphasize three critical lessons from this episode. First, technological integration trumps individual innovation. American success resulted not from a single breakthrough but systematic integration of detection, communication, and coordination technologies. Second, operational security multiplies advantage. Maintaining secrecy about true capabilities amplified the technological edge. Third, superior equipment requires doctrinal transformation. Comprehensive training programs and fundamental doctrine changes achieved full operational potential. The statistics remain remarkable 80 years later. Intercept success rates improved from 23% to 76% in just 18 months. Bomber loss rates were cut by 2/3 once radar networks became operational. German fighter forces were rendered strategically ineffective despite numerical production increases. The U.S. Army Center of Military History identifies this achievement as exemplifying consistent American military effectiveness. Emphasis on technological innovation and industrial capacity, systematic training and standardization, willingness to revise doctrine based on new capabilities, and integration of scientific research with operational requirements. General Henry Happ, Arnold, commanding general of the Army Air Forces, wrote in his 1945 report to the Secretary of War. The development of radar-directed fighter operations transformed air warfare from an art based on individual skill and chance encounter into a science of calculated coordination. This achievement represents American ingenuity, industrial capacity, and operational excellence at their finest. This story offers crucial lessons about how technological advantage shapes military outcomes, why intelligence and operational security matter, why systematic integration exceeds individual innovations, and how American forces consistently leverage technological and industrial advantages. If you found this analysis valuable, subscribe for more research-based World War II stories revealing untold technological and tactical achievements. Comment with which aspect of radar-directed operations surprised you most. Share with history enthusiasts who appreciate evidence-based military history. Every fact in this video is supported by official military records, academic historical research, or verified primary source documentation. Complete source bibliography available in the description. Military history proves: never underestimate American technological innovation, industrial capacity, and systematic integration of new capabilities. German officers learned this lesson the hard way in 1944, through radar networks they never saw coming and couldn't counter once deployed.